Wow. Talk about a nail biter, huh? I don't know about you, but I was glued to the Speaker of the House vote.
Yeah.
Mike Johnson, he was supposed to just sail right through his reelection.
Yeah. Not quite the smooth sailing everyone expected, was it? I mean, even some members of his own party, Republicans, weren't so sure about supporting him. Really tells you something about what's going on, behind the scenes with the Republicans right now.
Yeah, and for those of you who maybe, haven't been following every little detail, you got to remember, Johnson could only afford to lose one vote from his party, just one, to still win the speakership.
Absolutely. I mean, any more than that, and who knows? The speaker's gavel could have ended up in someone else's hands. So when that first vote happened and 3 Republicans actually voted against him, well, you can imagine the chaos that unleashed, right?
Oh, yeah. 90 minutes, just pure political drama. Johnson's running around, having these intense talks, sometimes right there on the House floor, sometimes ducking out to private rooms, trying to convince those 2 guys, Keith Self and Ralph Norman, to switch their votes.
Right. Now, before we get, too deep into those negotiations, let's maybe rewind a little.
Yeah, good point. Some of our listeners might need a little refresher on why this vote was such a big deal in the first place. Speaking of which, if you're liking this kind of inside scoop, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any future episodes.
Exactly. This wasn't just about, Johnson's ego or whatever. The Speaker of the House, I mean, that's a powerful job. They basically control the whole schedule for what laws get talked about, who gets to be on which committee. It all flows from the Speaker.
For Republicans, winning this, speakership, that was like the key to making sure they could actually pass the laws they want, now that they have the House saying the presidency after Trump won.
Precisely. So that brings us back to all those secret meetings and all that. What do you think was going through Johnson's head while he was trying to get those votes? Was he tempted to, promise them stuff, make deals?
Well, he had said publicly, right, that he wasn't going to make the same mistakes that Kevin McCarthy did.
Ah, yes, McCarthy. All those deals he made to become Speaker, they basically, led to his downfall. People saw him as weak, and that cost him his job.
Exactly. So Johnson was in a tricky spot, right? He needed those votes, but he couldn't look like he was giving in to demands either.
It's a tough situation, no doubt. What do you think? Did Johnson stay strong and refuse to make deals? Or did he have to compromise to get what he wanted? We want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And if you're, enjoying this breakdown, don't forget to give us a like.
Now, we can't talk about this speaker vote without mentioning, the big guy,
Right.
Trump.
Oh, yeah. His presence was definitely felt throughout this whole thing. Remember, Trump's inauguration, and the official confirmation of his election win, those are just a few days away.
Right. And he made it clear to those Republicans who were wavering that having a speaker in place was absolutely essential, both for his own plans and to ensure a smooth transition.
Based on the information we've gathered, it seems Trump personally reached out to some of those holdout Republicans, really hammering home the need for party unity and, the importance of backing Johnson.
So you've got Johnson making his personal appeals, talking about unity and all that, and then you've got Trump applying pressure, tying this vote directly to his own victory. That's a powerful combo.
Indeed. And then just before the final vote count, well, something pretty interesting happened.
Wait, let me guess. Self and Norman, they switched their votes at the last minute, giving Johnson the win, right?
You got it.
Yeah.
The tension in the room must have been incredible. You can picture it, the applause, everyone patting each other on the back, Johnson shaking Self's hand. Quite a spectacle.
It was down to the wire, for sure. But even though it was a dramatic win, this wasn't just about Johnson himself.
You're absolutely right. This victory was about something bigger. It was about strengthening the Republicans' hold on power and, setting the stage for their ambitious plans for new laws.
And they've already made it clear what their priorities are. Passing a bill about border security within the first month of Trump taking office, plus legislation on crime and taxes.
Yeah, they're not wasting any time. But this whole close call with the speaker vote, it really shows you the deep divisions that still exist within the Republican Party. And those divisions could make it really tough for them to achieve their goals, even with a unified government.
It's like they managed to patch things up just enough to get this one crucial vote, but those underlying issues, those cracks, are still there, just waiting to cause problems.
That's exactly right. The speaker vote might be over, but the internal struggle within the Republican Party, that's far from finished.
Okay, so he's got the speaker's gavel,
Yeah.
but like you were saying, the real challenges are just starting. Even with, more Republicans in the House, he's got a tough road ahead.
Absolutely. This whole speaker vote thing, it's like a preview of the bigger battles they're going to face. They've got to pass all these laws they've talked about, but to do that, they need everyone in the party on the same page. And that might be, kind of hard after all the drama we've seen.
And it's not just about, keeping the Republicans happy either. They've got to figure out how to work with the Democrats too, even though the Democrats have, fewer seats.
Oh, for sure. The Democrats are going to try and take advantage of all this Republican infighting, right? They'll be looking for ways to pull some of those Republicans over to their side and slow things down, or even, block those big laws that the Republicans want.
We saw a little bit of that already, right, with the speaker vote. What's to stop those Republicans who voted against Johnson the first time from doing it again when it comes to, like, specific policies?
Yeah, that's the big question. Johnson's really going to have to play his cards right. He's got to be a negotiator, keep all the different groups within his own party happy, but also be smart about, what the Democrats are going to do.
And then there's Trump, right?
And
he can't forget about him. Trump's already made it pretty clear what he wants. That wall on the border, tougher laws on crime, and tax cuts. He's going to be pushing Congress hard to get all that done.
Oh, yeah. Johnson's got to manage those expectations, too, while also trying to, show that he can make his own decisions, not just do whatever Trump says. Not an easy job.
This whole thing just shows you how complicated it is to actually, run the government. Even when one party seems to have all the power, there's always, like, different people pulling in different directions and surprises popping up.
Yeah, and what's really interesting here, with the speaker vote, it shows you this tension in the Republican Party, this fight between the practical people and the more ideological ones.
Could you explain that a little more?
Sure. So you've got, lawmakers who are focused on getting things done, passing laws, putting their plans into action. They might be more open to compromise, making deals to achieve those goals.
And then you got the other side, the ones who are more focused on, sticking to their principles, their beliefs, even if it means things don't get done.
Exactly. And those two groups, they don't always agree. We saw that in the speaker vote. Those Republicans who held out, they were basically saying, hey, we need you to promise us that you'll listen to our concerns.
So how does he handle that going forward? How does he keep both of those groups happy, the practical ones and the principled ones?
That's the $1 million question. He's got to find a way to bridge that gap, get everyone on the same page, at least on the really important stuff.
Otherwise, he might end up, out of a job, just like McCarthy.
Exactly. This close call, it was a wake-up call for sure. If Johnson wants to be an effective speaker, he's got to learn from, what happened to McCarthy and figure out how to unite his party, or at least, keep those disagreements under control.
If he doesn't, those big plans they have, all those new laws, well, they might not go anywhere. Speaking of which, let's dig a little deeper into those policy goals the Republicans have set for themselves.
Right. Starting with that border security bill, they want to get that introduced, within the first 30 days of Trump being president.
Yeah, that's pretty ambitious, trying to pass such a big, important law right off the bat. What do you think? Do they have a chance?
Well, it depends on a few things. First, can they even write a bill that makes everyone in their own party happy?
You mean the practical ones versus the ones focused on principles?
Exactly. Some Republicans want to, tackle border security from a lot of different angles, like giving more money to Border Patrol, using new technology, improving infrastructure.
And then you've got others who just want to, glue that wall, that big wall along the whole border. Nothing else matters.
Right. And then there's the question of whether they can convince any Democrats to vote for it.
Which, that seems unlikely, right? They don't really see eye to eye on this issue.
It's going to be tough, that's for sure. But even if they manage to pass a bill in the House, they still need the Senate to approve it. And in the Senate, their majority is even smaller.
And they might run into problems there too, right? With some of the moderate Republicans who might think the bill's too extreme.
So yeah, even with, the same party controlling the presidency and Congress, passing laws is never a sure thing. It takes a lot of back and forth compromise and political maneuvering.
And in this case, with all the division within the Republicans and this issue of immigration being so controversial, it's going to be even harder to make any progress.
It's a high-stakes game, no doubt about it. And what happens with this border bill, it could really set the tone for, the rest of Johnson's time as Speaker, even for the whole legislative agenda for the next few years.
So it sounds like even with Johnson as Speaker and all that, the Republicans are going to have a tough time, getting all their plans through.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to be a cakewalk. And the border bill, that's just the beginning. They've also got those crime and tax laws they want to pass. And those are probably going to face a lot of pushback from the Democrats.
Right. Those are some pretty big controversial topics. You don't see both parties agreeing on stuff like that too often.
Exactly. So, Johnson and the Republicans, they're going to have to make some choices, some tough choices. Do they just try to, ram their agenda through, even if it means like alienating the Democrats even more, and maybe even, some of the more moderate folks in their own party?
Or do they try to find some middle ground, make some compromises and try to get some bipartisan support?
That's the real dilemma here. And whatever they decide, it's going to have a big impact, not just on whether they can pass their laws, but on the whole political atmosphere in Washington.
If they go the hardline route, just pushing through their own bills without any help from the Democrats, it's probably just going to lead to more gridlock and, make the divisions in Congress even worse.
Yeah. That's right. And if that happens, it'll be even harder to tackle the big problems facing the country, the ones that really need both parties to work together to solve.
But on the other hand, if they try to be more conciliatory, try to find some solutions that both sides can agree on, well, that could show that they're actually willing to, work with the Democrats. And that might lead to a more productive government.
That's true. But there's a risk there, too. They could get a lot of criticism from the more ideological wing of their own party, the ones who think compromise is a bad thing.
It's a tough spot to be in, that's for sure. And the decisions they make over the next few months, those are going to have big consequences, not just for the Republicans themselves, but for the whole country.
Stepping back for a second, this whole speaker vote thing and all the challenges Johnson's facing, it really highlights something important about, how power and government actually work.
What do you mean?
Well, it reminds us that even when one party seems to be, in charge, like they have all the pieces in place, governing is never that simple.
You're saying it's not just about, having the presidency in Congress and then just like snapping your fingers and getting everything you want.
Exactly. There's always going to be competing interests, divisions within the party, pressure from outside groups, and, unexpected things that can mess up even the best plans.
So it's constant, back and forth, give and take, adapting to the situation. And the best leaders, the ones who are really successful, are the ones who can handle all that.
That's it. And that's why these moments, these speaker votes and all that, they're so interesting. They give you a peek behind the curtain, show you how power really works, the struggles and the deals that shape our political system.
It makes you really appreciate how delicately balanced our democracy is and how important it is for people to be informed. We need to understand how this all works, who the players are, what's at stake with each decision.
Yeah, it's crucial to remember that this isn't just some, game happening in Washington. The things they decide in Congress, they have a direct impact on all of us, on our everyday lives. The economy, healthcare, education, national security, it all comes back to the decisions they make.
So even if you're not, a political junkie, it's important to pay attention, to understand what's going on and to make your voice heard. Our democracy, it depends on people being active and engaged.
Absolutely. And if you like this kind of deep dive into the important stuff, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. We'll keep bringing you the insights you need to understand the events that are shaping our world.
We'll be back soon with another deep dive into the things that matter most. Until then, stay curious, stay informed, and keep those comments coming. We love to hear what you think. And if you found this, this whole discussion insightful, give us a like.
Thanks for joining us. See you next time.